Hello, friends of grace, and welcome to my home. I'm coming to you from here, my home study this week, because house seems to be the word of the week in this coming Sunday's sermon. But I'll preach more about that on Sunday. I have been thinking about the home I grew up in, though. There were four of us kids, two adults, and while you'd have to ask those two adults, my parents, I don't think a single one of us who shared that home ever felt cramped or crowded. It was a great house, complete with yard in the front, pool in the back, plenty of things to do. In recent years, as you do, my mother and father moved out of that house and sold it to someone else to enjoy. During that sale, as I was walking through the house on the final days and everything had been moved out, it was a surreal experience seeing this home be more of this empty shell of a building that looked kind of like my home, but not really anymore. I don't know if you've ever felt that loss of a home, but there is a poet who wrote a short poem I'd like to share with you today. Her name's Carlisle F. McIntyre, and they just wrote a brief poem called House. And it goes like this: They are all gone, the footsteps and the laughter, and I put out the fire and lock the door. Like a closed mouth, strangely aware that after tonight a solemn dust will choke the floor and be a cataract upon my eyes and be a bandage that shall lint my pain. Henceforth, the dust, the silence, and the flies may have this house where I come not again. Maybe you're not as into poetry as I am, but as I walked through my house that final time, I thought of this poem. My favorite thing about the house was the real emptiness and the absence in this poem, which is in the first line. They don't miss the furniture or the memories. They miss, well, the footsteps and the laughter. My favorite thing about my house that I grew up in was that I belonged there and I felt safe there. Not everyone has that when they grow up, and maybe you did and maybe you didn't. But I think that every single one of us knows if we did or if we didn't. You feel that keenly and deeply because it matters. Uh, Jesus, in talking with his disciples, is talking about God. Jesus offers an image of God's house, and he does it as a word of safety and community belonging. He says this in John 14. He says, Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms, dwelling places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may be also. And you know the way to the place where I'm going. And when Thomas says to him, excuse me, Lord, we don't know where you're going. How can we know the way? Jesus then tells him, excuse you, I am the way and the truth and the life. Nobody gets there but through me. It's a great passage, familiar to many people. So how do we, as disciples, show the way to God's house? There's one way there, but we have many ways to show it. This week at church, we have a Salkehatchie summer service team, which is Methodist speak for youth and adults who go out and minister by working on houses. I happen to know we have at least one person at Grace in North Augusta who came to church because of a Salkehatchie team who found him where he was living, somewhere else at the time, fixed up their house, and they just had to know where they had come from. And he followed them to church. I love that. I think they have the right idea. Someone brought safety to their house, and because of that, they found a church home. It's not a coincidence that we refer to our houses of worship as sanctuaries. If God has a house, it does have many rooms so that more people can live in them. We have today people in our own community who don't feel safe. Sure, there are those who literally don't currently have a house. There are those who don't feel or have family. There are people without tables to share food around, or people to say goodnight to, or people whose souls just feel homeless. I hope you have a home. I hope you have a church home. If you do, and especially if it's Grace United Methodist Church in North Augusta, I want to remind us today that our bodies are temples. That is to say, wherever you go, in a way, you take the home, the belonging, the dwelling of God with you. So today, I want to bless you for the week. And my blessing is simply that as you go out, may those who need to find space where they belong, find space where they feel safe. I pray that they would find it in whatever meaningful way when they encounter you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May God watch your going out and your coming in, now and forevermore. Peace. And I hope I'll see you Sunday at Grace.